In the 6th season of Star Trek Deep Space Nine, there was an episode called Far Beyond the Stars. Captain Sisko is becoming increasingly disillusioned with his role in the Dominion War, and it's beginning to take its toll on him. And he begins to experience some very unusual visions and hallucinations of a parallel life where he's a writer named Benny Russell in 1950s America. He gradually begins to become more immersed in this reality to the point where he lives and believes it. Benny is a science fiction writer, writing for a magazine, and he comes up with an idea for a sci-fi story of a man named Benjamin Sisko, the captain of a space station, Deep Space Nine. The publishers have an issue with the story because Sisko is a black man in a time when the public probably wouldn't have been particularly receptive to the idea. This is the primary source of conflict in the story, with Benny having to passionately fight his corner. Incidentally, the people in his life all resemble the characters in his story. The episode offered the cast of the show an opportunity to play very different characters. We even see J.G. Hertzler, Mark Alamo, Jeffrey Combs, Armin Shimmerman, Aaron Eisenberg, Michael Dorn, and René Auberjonois without all of the usual heavy prosthetic makeup that their characters would have to wear. We even get to see Terry Farrell without her trilled spots on either side of her head. Now, I won't go into the entire plot of the episode, but suffice to say, Benny's story becomes an increasingly personal one for him, especially given the cryptic instructions he receives from a mysterious priest who resembles Sisko's father, telling him to write the words and that he is the dreamer and the dream. There's a lot of fan theories as to what was really going on in this episode. It was briefly followed up on in the 7th season episode Shadows and Symbols, in which Benny is in a mental institute and a doctor, played by Casey Biggs, who usually plays Damar, is telling him to basically paint over the story that Benny has written on the walls of his room. The most common explanation is that the dream in Far Beyond the Stars was sent to Sisko by the prophets, while the dream in Shadows and Symbols was sent to him by the Pa-Wraiths. The first dream was meant to inspire Sisko. The other was meant to prevent him from reopening the wormhole and re-establishing Bajor's connection with the prophets, or the wormhole aliens as they're often referred to. Whatever the explanation, it's interesting to consider if the world of Benny Russell was the real one. In that world, Sisko and DS9 are the dream, but in Sisko's world, Russell is the dream. But anyway, there was supposed to be a third installment in the Benny Russell story arc. In the final episode of Season 7, the series finale entitled What You Leave Behind, which concludes the Dominion War story arc, was supposed to conclude with a short scene of Benny Russell outside of a soundstage where the first episode of a show called Star Trek Deep Space Nine was to be filmed. This would have given closure to the Benny Russell story arc and his character, but of course, it would have also meant that the entire Deep Space Nine series was nothing more than a dream made by Benny Russell. I mean, this was Ira Steven Behr's idea, I believe, but it was something that Rick Berman didn't like. It would have obviously had wider consequences for the Star Trek franchise, because it would have meant that all of Star Trek could have been considered nothing more than a dream. Despite this being an interesting idea, it would have effectively undermined the franchise. And seriously, who likes stories that end up on the theme of it was all just a dream, right? Nobody likes that cliched plot point. That would not have been a popular decision with many fans, I suspect. But it was the original envisaged ending for Deep Space Nine. What do you guys think? Do you think this would have been an appropriate ending? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.